Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Middle Mondays. Really appreciate you guys checking today's video out, and welcome back everybody that watches Middle Mondays every week. And if you're new to the channel, Middle Mondays is something we do once a week that really doesn't have anything to do with fishing. We just sort of bring up a bunch of topics that's sort of designed to stretch your mind a little bit and make you think. So if it's your first time, welcome back. Today, guys, we're going to be expanding on some stuff that we've been sort of talking around the edges for the last year or so, talking about money, power, and greed. And from what I've seen is sort of like the acceleration in the desire for that within our society, and really talk about how toxic that is. It's toxic to every aspect of not only your being, but society, everything around it. So we're going to get into that a little bit. When you're talking about money, power, and greed, you're talking about sort of a dynamic that's been around for a long time. I mean, it's like that ever since, there has been civilizations, there's always been some assholes out there that just try to control other people through power and fear and through money. It hasn't stopped. We still see it today. It's something within human nature that we have not tapped down yet. Which we really need to do so. In our society today, it's prevalent in several different sectors. The most obvious sector that you see the drunkenness of power and greed for money is in politics. It's really permeated our political system tremendously over the past 7 or 8 years. And you see people that have risen to power through ambition alone. People that have risen to positions of power that don't have any right or they have no qualifications, or they have no responsibility for the power they've got. They just sort of use demagoguery to a large degree to acquire that, and once they get it, they don't want to let go of it. And they will break laws to keep it. They will undermine every aspect of the American, experiment to keep it. It's pretty sickening as far as when I see that. And when I see somebody that portrays elements of, just greed and, a lust for power and money, I have no respect for those people. I literally have more respect for, an ant crawling on the ground than I do those people there. It's really some of the worst aspects of the human species that we have there, not only in politics, but it permeates other parts of life too. The business world is rampant at that. The competitive world, anything out there, there's always some element, that seems like it's there, putting those toxic vibes into our society. So I really want to talk a little bit about that, what maybe some of the motivations and maybe some of the things you can do to sort of get around that a little bit. Ultimately, when somebody is after power and money and control and has greedy habits like that, it's the underlying emotion of fear. I mean, it's a fear of lack and scarcity, and by going along this route, they feel that that's going to quench that fear a little bit. Along with that fear, there's an element of narcissistic behavior. And demagoguery. So when you have a combination of somebody that has narcissistic tendencies, people that are self-centered, people that talk in terms that demagogues talk, those are the people that really, really have a toxic influence on our society. And the problem you have with that is once they acquire those elements like that, that power allows them to basically have control over other people at the expense and at their own pain, at those people's pain. I mean, in my opinion, you can define evil by people that seek to gain power through the pain of others, and that's one of the things, the common threads those people have, is they don't care how many people they squash along the way. And you can take some of the most evil villains in the history of our planet, Vladimir Putin, Mussolini, Stalin, Hitler. All of those people, they all have the same traits. They're authoritarians. They're addicted to power and greed and money and control. They don't care who they stomp on. They lie, they cheat, they deceive the public, they create false narratives. Those people just need to be gone. I mean, there's nothing that beneficial to them that we have as a society today. And I think a lot of this has to do with our upbringing, because ultimately a lot of the behaviors that people develop later on in life it's a complete byproduct of how they were brought up. I mean, very seldom, it happens occasionally, but very seldom, if somebody is brought up the right way, and what I mean the right way is when you have values instilled in those people of kindness and compassion and empathy and sharing and understanding, all of the true marks of intelligence within a person. When you raise somebody to adopt those viewpoints, very seldom do you have somebody go off on this path of narcissistic, authoritarian type behavior that we see so rampant, that we've seen so rampant in politics the last 5 or 6 years. So from that standpoint, it's really, really important that parents pay close attention to the message that they are sending to kids as far as how they want them to turn out. And far too much, I think that there's there's this competitive energy that a lot of parents try to get within their kids at an early age, that it's like, what's in it for me? Get more, work your butt off to get more, acquire more, and success is equated by how much you acquire. Guys, that is so far away from the truth right there. It's like one of the biggest things that people need to realize is, instead of like always striving for more and making more and having more things and having more shiny objects, is they need to be happy with having less. And once you've developed this mindset and this lifestyle that you can be happy with less, that is the way to true happiness. That is the way people have, the deep-seated happiness that you can see within their eyes. And guys, one of the things that I'll tell you right now about humans and about human behaviors is, if you study humans, you can see so much within their eyes. There's that old saying that the eyes are the window of the soul, and that is so true out there, because I have been around people, primarily politicians, that I've had a chance to visit with, that are sort of like, they fell into this pit of, they've got a little bit of power and they've got greed and they've got control. And you can see a hollowness in those people's eyes that are those type of people. I've been around quite a few people that have big money. Like, I've been around a couple billionaires. I've had a chance to have conversations with a couple billionaires. It's the same way, guys. When you look, I'm not saying this on all of them, but the majority of the people that I have that are uber wealthy, when you look at them, they don't look at you. They look through you. And there's that hollowness in the eyes that comes with, you sacrifice your being. You sacrifice your internal personal integrity for the power and greed and money, because it is literally impossible to acquire, power and money in legitimate ways. Now, there are very few people that have done that the other way. There are some people out there that are philanthropists that seem to be leaning in that direction a little bit, but by far 98% of the people that I've ever met that have been given or handed some type of power and control, you can just see within their soul that they are not happy. I mean, it's sort of like a real obvious if you're looking for it like that. So the main thing that we have to do with that, guys, is we have got to transcend as a society, allowing people to get that way, allowing people that don't deserve power to attain power. And once we can do that, then you begin to be able to make some type of a transformation in the bigger picture of society with that. Now, the problem you have with that is those people in general, people like that powerful people, I mean, people that have a lot of money and power and influence, they also have a lot of enablers that enable them to do that, because they want to try to get under, on the lap of the people that have a lot of power. So they're willing to do about anything to protect those people, to cover them up, to lie for them, to cheat for them, to, break the law for them. And when you have somebody that has a lot of resources and they have a lot of people there that enable them and protect them around that, it's very difficult to get past that. Because let's say, for example, if you're somebody in politics that has a lot of money, I mean, there are so many things that you can do to corrupt our society with money through politics. We see it every day out there. And, we see people that are mediocre people, that are below, maybe even below mediocre, that have gained positions of power within politics because they either have been enabled or they enable other people with money to get there. And until we break that cycle, and until we allow people that operate from that level of being motivated by greed and money and power, we're always going to have this problem. I mean, hopefully one day we can break that cycle. We haven't yet. I mean, civilizations, I mean, man has been on this planet for over 2 million years, and at least some lineage of the human species has been on this planet for over 2 million years, but we've only had civilizations, organized civilizations, for probably 6,000 to 8,000 years, and nobody's transcended it yet. I mean, it's always been that way since the beginning of civilization. So eventually, like I said, maybe we'll wise up a bunch and transcend that at some point if we can survive that long. But it's very difficult to break from the status quo. I mean, and like I said, I always go back to politics because politics is such a physical manifestation of the general path that mankind is on a little bit. And there's nothing good that comes out of that at all. I mean, there really isn't. There's very few good things that come out of it. So anyway, the point is, guys, is try to be happy with less. Don't get sucked into being one of those people that strive for more and more, because I can promise you, when you're on your deathbed and you're taking your last few breaths before you depart this life and move on to the next adventure, you will not sit there and say, God dang, man, I wish I'd have made more money, or I wish I'd have gained more power, or something like that. I mean, that's the last thing you're going to think about. You're going to be thinking about the things that are really real, and probably if you lived a life like that, you'll probably pass away full of regrets. So live your life with kindness, live your life with empathy, live your life with understanding, live your life with caring for others, live your life, doing the right thing. And people know what the right thing is. That's the thing about it. It's like you can't really fake that. And I don't mean in terms of morality. I mean in terms of doing things that are part of our innate and natural intelligence as humans on this planet. And there are a lot of really bad aspects about humans, but there's also a lot of good aspects. I've met some exemplary human beings in my life, and I've met some that I could care less if I squashed them like a bug. I mean, and everything in between. So just strive to be better, man. That's all we can do. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll talk later.